my motivations for creating Brieft, I had previously worked in agency land and had worked in the design industry for about 4.5 years. I actually left the industry also for 4.5 years. And when I returned, the first thing that I noticed was that the digital ecosystem had split wide open. So there were all these new tools that agencies were using to manage their workflow and also to communicate with their client. But ultimately, what was happening is that design briefs and most of the communication ended up going back to email. So design briefs still being created using Word documents, sent via email, and then the communication and updates about the brief and for the whole workflow were now happening across all these separate tools. If I needed to look for an asset or if I need to look for an update from a client, I was no longer looking in one place or one or two places. I was now looking across 4 or 5 places. So that was basically the first motivation. Saw that while there were all these incredible new tools, what was actually missing was creating briefing documents in a cloud environment that facilitated collaboration and accountability. The very first version of the product that we built was just a briefing tool. The ability to create a brief in a cloud environment, have the team internally and then also the client offer feedback and recommendations on how to change the brief and update it. And then also have it approved in a cloud environment. The way that briefs are created at the moment, which I mentioned earlier, are in Word documents saved on internal servers or uploaded into cloud tools that don't really communicate to the entire team that any updates have occurred. So Brieft is a collaboration and workflow management tool. The ability to create the brief in a cloud environment allows that the transparency for everybody that's involved within the entire workflow. That was the first version of the product. The second version of the product that we built was we basically took a step back and we looked at the entire workflow. So our MVP, which is going to be released in 5 weeks from today, which is really exciting, also includes live and secure global asset management. So rather than using WeTransfer, Google Drive, and all the other kind of plethora of other kind of tools, you're able to upload all documentation and any kind of file onto Brieft, and it acts as a digital asset management tool. The ability to create tasks, mark up and approve artwork, and get document approval in real time. So what Brieft ultimately does is that it offers an aligned tool to keep everybody on board. Yeah, I have an incredible team. I'm so well supported and so lucky with the people that we've been able to bring on board. So we have a full-time designer who has been incredible. Her background is actually in architecture and she's also a founder herself. We have two developers that are onshore. So our CTO, Stefan, he has a PhD. He's a staff engineer currently for a scale-up and is looking to move full-time onto Brieft once we close this round. In terms of the market, it's really interesting. Our go-to-market strategy is to be product-led, and our first vertical that we're going to market in is small to medium design agencies. So that market itself, there are 400,000 agencies globally. It's a $325 billion industry, and it's predicted to have a growth rate of 14.6% over the next 3 years. The exciting thing about Brieft, and I guess this is where we get to kind of talk about the vision a little bit as well, is that the vision for Brieft, the ultimate vision for Brieft, is to consume all other SaaS within design studios. So that's our first our first goal. And then our second goal beyond that is then to move into other creative verticals as well, like architecture and interior design. And we have already begun that process of creating relationships within that industry. And then beyond adjacent creative industries, also the tool applies to design teams. So design teams exist inside of every enterprise organization. And our ultimate goal is to be able to move into that vertical as quickly as possible. I think why now is for a multitude of different reasons. I think the primary one is that work is becoming more and more remote. So actually trying, like, generally what would happen in an agency if assets were missing or you needed to communicate with your team, more often than not, you're tapping people on the shoulder all day, and that just isn't available anymore. So in terms of the reason why now, I think remote work has a lot to do with it. I also think that there is a saturation of generalized tools that don't actually address the needs of a design studio. And there's almost nothing in market at the moment that comes in and fills the need like Brieft does for the specific niche of design teams. Feedback that we've actually had from the current demos that we've been doing has been overwhelmingly positive. One of the design agencies, or a couple of the design agencies, have come back to us and said, basically, congratulations, you've just built Jira for design studios. So we've been getting a lot of really, really positive feedback. People are very excited about the potential of reducing the amount of SaaS tools that they actually have to use. That's the primary one. Secondary to that as well is the ability to create a brief that actually prompts the client to fill in the necessary details. Other feedback that we've had is that the tool itself is unlike anything that they've seen or used before. It feels incredibly intuitive. There isn't any of the superfluous features that they wouldn't end up using. It's just everything they need within the one tool. Globally, absolutely globally. We've already started to talk to agencies in the US, in Europe, in UK, who are consistently having the same problems as well. This is our pre-seed round. Currently, we've raised $225,000 within that round. We're looking to close that round at $500,000. So there's another $275,000 that we're looking to raise. The investors that we're looking to come on board is anybody who has a background in B2B SaaS, any investors that have industry contact, and certainly anybody else who's just interested in the space. So anyone can email me. All my contact details and all our social media is on our website, which is Brieft.app. My email is Mackenzie@Brieft.app. So feel free to contact me anytime. You're also welcome to find me on LinkedIn, which just Mackenzie Daisley, or you're welcome to get in contact with Vadim and he'll be able to pass on my details.